Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and we are back at my little player home here at Fairline Hills. Fairline Hills is a modded settlement by a mod author named Draco Invictus, who is another YouTuber who has fantastic content, and you should check out his channel. I've done a couple videos here before. One was just a tour of the player home, and the other was a detailed tutorial on how to wire up this little garage bunker using a NOT gate. That video was called Practical NOT Gate, and if you're interested in how to wire this garage thing, take a look at that. That was all based off of a comment that a viewer named Russ Prophet had left. So certainly if you have a request for a build or a question to ask or anything else, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear it and maybe use it as a video idea. But what are we doing today? Well, I wanted to upgrade a few things around here, and one of them was, I didn't like before that I had just a power pylon out here with a switch on it for my my activation of the garage. It just looked out of place. And I came across this hoop switch, which is certainly available in the vanilla game. It's not part of any mod. And I thought, man, like, this is perfect. It has just the right look for what I need here. The problem with it is that hoop switches are momentary switches. Let me get into the build mode and we're going to demonstrate what that means. The other thing about hoop switches, I think that people don't use them very much, not only because they're momentary switches, but also because it really does suggest a basketball arena, whether that's a set piece as part of a more complete settlement build, or indeed an entire settlement built around making a gigantic basketball stadium. I've seen some pretty cool builds that people have done, and unfortunately, I was not able to locate the videos to give those folks proper credit. I feel bad about that, but yeah, I just couldn't find them again. At any rate, you know, these hoop switches, I think that people don't use them much because, like I said, they really suggest a singular function, and the momentary way that they work certainly impairs their utility, but I have figured out a way around that. Let me demonstrate what it means to be a momentary switch. So we'll get some power on this, and then we're going to hook this to this power pylon, or this power counter. And as anybody who is aware, every time you turn off the power and then turn on the power to these things, they go up by 1. So you can shoot a basketball through here, but you can also just come up and manually activate it, and you see that that went to 1. But there's not any power coming off this switch again. Only when the paddle is down is there power. And so you can certainly use that to keep score, but I don't know about you, I have not figured out any way to make my settlers play basketball. So it's a little bit limited in what it can do. And in fact, I thought, man, this thing looks so great. Like, it looks like it just kind of belongs, and I can use this to open and shut my door. Here's the problem that I have with it. Because it's a momentary switch, it doesn't keep power on my logic gate set up in there. So we'll just hit it, and you see, like, everything kind of blinks open and closed, but it doesn't actually stay open and closed. And that doesn't matter if I do that by just grabbing it manually, or even if I oh gosh darn it, I am just as bad at basketball in real life, by the way, as I am in Fallout. But if we put a basketball through there, see, it doesn't keep the door open. So let me just put my basketball away so I don't lose. Oh gosh darn it! Let me put this away so I don't lose it, and let's figure out a way to change this momentary switch into an actual toggle switch. Now, I actually showed this method with my pressure plate tutorial, and if you're interested in that, go take a look at the second pressure plate tutorial that I showed, where I showed how to turn pressure plates into toggle switches. We're going to do the same thing here with a vanilla build, and then I'm going to show you, I think, an even better way to do it with a mod. So before I forget, let me just scrap this. I don't need this anymore. And I'm going to set this guy right over here. And I am going to go and get out of electronics mod a self-powered terminal. Now, if you're playing vanilla, you can use a regular terminal to do this. Just to be sure that you don't have any other power counters that are on that same grid as that same terminal, because the terminal will affect all the power counters on your grid. So I'm going to set that to 1, and what that'll do for me is every time I blink power to the power counter, it will just turn on and turn off, turn on and off. It's just become a binary switch. Alright, so now I can store that terminal. I don't need it anymore. Now the next thing that I want to get here for the vanilla version of this is a logic gate called a not and gate. What not and does is it says whenever you have all inputs with power, it stops transmitting. So in conjunction with a momentary switch, we can blink power using the momentary switch and in fact turn this power counter on and off. So to wire this not and, we're just going to take some input power and go here, and I'm actually going to disconnect this wire off of my switch because I don't need it anymore. That was going off to the logic gate setup inside the garage. The other input for my not and, see right now it's going to be all inputs. Because all inputs have power, it is trying to transmit, so there we go. And now that we've got this momentary switch hooked to it and not all the inputs have power, the outputs turn to green. So I can hook this to my power counter, and then I can hook my power counter to my logic gate inside my garage. And like I said, if you want to learn how to do this part of it, there's a whole video on it. But there we go, we are done. We have turned our momentary switch into a toggle switch, and we can kind of, I hope, see how it works right here. So when I hit the switch, you'll see that the logic gate turns off. That blinked the power to my power counter here, and that changed the state and reactivated all my traps and closed my door. And if I hit it again, now the door is open. And I just thought that this looked so much better than just having a big pylon at the end of my driveway. But I gotta say that I don't necessarily like having this many wires and this power counter here and a logic gate stuck on the back of this thing. So we're going to go take a look at something out of the electronics mod that does the same thing as what we've set up here, but it does it in an even easier way. So we'll go ahead and we'll just scrap that power counter, and we're going to scrap the not and gate, and let's go get into advanced settlement power, because there's a device in here under memory called a T flip-flop. And what it says here is that the top connector changes state every low-high transition on lower connector. So that means that every time that we go from off to on, which is what happens when we hit that paddle on the hoop switch, the top either turns off or on. It changes state. So it's pretty simple to wire this up. And one of the things that I like about these advanced settlement power things is you can move these little devices independently. So we're just going to hook the input to our basketball goal there, and we're going to take the we're going to wire glitch from my logic gate inside the garage to the output, and now every time we flip the switch on the goal, this will turn on and off and alternate. So we've accomplished the same thing, but we've done it with fewer wires and kind of just less visual clutter. So we can hit the switch and the door opens, hit it again and everything closes, and we can even shoot baskets, maybe. Oh god, I suck at this. Yeah, it's a good thing that I'm doing this on a video game and not for real. Anyway, so yeah, that is how you turn any momentary switch into a toggle switch. And the two that stand out the most are the pressure switch and the hoop switch. Really not sure that there are any other momentary switches in the game. If you can think of any, certainly let me know in the comments. And actually, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and hook my traps back up. I disabled these things earlier so that I wouldn't accidentally set them off while I was doing the tutorial and, well, incinerate myself. So let's just wire glitch from there to up here, and oops, well, it's not what I wanted. There we are. So now my traps will be active again. Anyways, that is the end of the tutorial portion of the video, but let's take a look around at some of the things that I've done around here. One of those is I added some cinder blocks here and basically just made it a little bit harder to see that electric eye switch. It also just kind of funnels you into this area where the traps are most effective. I also added a pitching machine with some nuker grenades, and those nuker grenades are pretty powerful. Even at level 199 with 1700 hit points, I can still get murdered by those things. Inside the garage here, haven't done a whole lot. I added some shelves and some other little decorations, but one of the things that I did do was I got into a discussion with another YouTuber who said that there was no such thing as legendary power armor, with the exception of the piece that you get out of the plastics place. The early in the game, you'll hear Mr. Handy Robots advertising to get a job there. In actuality, with the Brotherhood of Steel quests, you can actually get a number of different legendary power armor pieces combined with some pieces out of Automatron. So you can get everything except for a right leg without actually having to completely commit to the Brotherhood of Steel. So, dude, if you're watching, here you go. Here is the proof that yes, you can get a number of legendary power armor pieces. Another thing that I've done here, I like this little gun cabinet that I built myself. Can't do this without mods. At least you can't do it the way that I've done it here. These doors are actually warehouse doors that I have scaled down and tilted on their sides and then kind of glitched into the wall here. But I like the way that this came out in general. Like the little vertical one that I put there. I just think the whole thing looks neat, and I've kind of loaded this thing up with some of my favorite guns that I used during this particular playthrough. Not a lot to it as far as making that light come on with kind of in sync with the doors. Basically, you just use a delayed on switch, which is just kind of tucked up in the side there, and then hook a cycling light to it. Another one of the upgrades that I've made around here was these window screens. In a previous video, I had lamented that I could not put glass in these windows. Even the modded pieces of glass that I had were too thick. They would stick through these walls and nothing ever looked right. So a viewer named Justin Harmon suggested using wire fences to screen these things off, and I have done stuff like that in the past. I don't know why I didn't think about it here, but it looks great. So thanks very much to Justin for that suggestion. I also added some Yaogwai heads here. I just thought it'd be fun. It's like, okay, so my character killed those Yaogwai and that originally were here and mounted their heads on the wall. Upstairs, the bathroom, haven't done much with it, but I'm hoping that maybe someone can help me out with this, because I would love to find a way to make this shower head drip. Settlement Object Expansion Pack has a number of like waterfalls and stuff that you can add, but I can't find any way to make that that little shower head just go drip, drip, drip. And I think it would just be a nice extra little detail. Added a closet for myself up here, and in fact this is where I store the gear that I use while I'm building. I think I might do a video on some kind of min-maxing things that you can do to help gain extra experience while you build. Out back, I added in a little awning up here, and I finally remembered to add the cage to my little bug light up there. But most interestingly, I think, is I added a little platform up here, and then there's these steep stairs that you have to jump up. They act more like a ladder, that are out of vanilla extensions. And up here, I have put a firework mortar with some weather chain shells. And around the corner of the house, I've got a pressure plate, and I just stomp on this pressure plate and it will launch a weather change shell and turn the weather good. Now, one thing that I do with this is I use this insulated delayed off switch between the pressure plate and the mortar so that I don't accidentally stand on the pressure plate too long or have the pressure plates stick or anything, come back and find out like, oh man, I launched like 30 of those weather change shells, and the resources for those are hard to come by. So yeah, those are all the little upgrades to my house here at Fairline Hills. I hope that you found the hoop switch information useful, and if you did, be sure to leave a like down below. And if you want to see more, be sure and subscribe. Got plenty of content coming up. But also, if you would like to ask me a question, if there's something that has confused you, or something that you'd like to see me take a whack at trying to build, leave me a comment. Otherwise, until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.